Hey everyone, thank you for tuning back in this week for my next video. This video is going to be about a guy I had an on-again, off-again relationship with for a little less than 3 years. And I really contribute this to just the trend of how dating has been in the last decade or so. I mean, it's just really just a jungle out here. And I know I'm preaching to the choir likely, so I'm just gonna jump in and tell you why I feel like relationships just are not working nowadays, why this relationship didn't work for me, and what I plan to do in the future, which may or may not work for you as well, so stay tuned. So I'm going to pick back up where I left off last week, where I was kind of in my life. I had just gotten back from Buffalo. So this is 2015, August 2015. I had just gotten back from Buffalo and I met a guy a couple weeks later. He is in the Air Force. I think he's like a year and a half younger than me, which I really hate dating younger people, but you know, it is what it is sometimes. You know, it's really all the mentality that somebody has, but I really don't enjoy it. So we actually surprisingly, you know, hit it off really, really well. We were both kind of homebodies, and I need a homebody in my life, at least like a 50% homebody. The other 50% can be, you know, adventurous and outgoing and all those things, because one of us has got to be. So otherwise we'll be stuck in the house like 24 hours a day and have cabin fever. But I'm such a homebody, and so meeting somebody that kind of had a good balance with that of me, where, you know, they would come and hang out with me and we'd watch movies and, you know, like have a weekend where we wouldn't go out, but then we had some weekends where, you know, we'd go out for breakfast or dinner or lunch or whatever, go see a movie, go Dave & Buster's. Like, we had a really good balance of, you know, going out and staying out, which obviously you can say is really important to me. So we had a really good routine. I mean, almost like immediately. So probably like a few weeks of us knowing each other and hanging out, like we just had settled into like this routine, which, you know, of him coming over, me going over there, and me cooking or us going out, like it was just like we vibed so well with, you know, just, you know, he worked about the same hours as I did and things like that. So we were both free in the evenings and most weekends, you know, when he didn't have to be on call or whatever. So, and then some weekends he had his daughter as well. So that's going to be a whole nother thing, his daughter. But yeah, so we had a really good routine between the both of us, and it seemed like maybe this was meant to be. A couple months after we started seeing each other, he introduced me to his daughter, so that was really cool, and immediately her and I, she's I think 4 at the time, so immediately her and I hit it off, and it was just so sweet, and she was just adorable, and I just immediately fell in love with her, and I really feel like the feeling was mutual. Like, she would literally cry when they had to leave, and like this one night they just spent the night because it was just not even worth like getting her so upset over and stuff. So I mean, we had just gotten such a big bond, and it was just so natural. I mean, the vibe between he and I, the vibe between her and I, it was so natural and it was so sweet. And like I said, I really felt like it was meant to be. And, you know, I was starting to feel like, okay, like we kind of have a little family type situation going on. Like, they come over and they would, like, he would spend time with her on his own. So I think that, like, I don't know, like he and I, like, we were both just so good at balance. Like, it was, I think that was just so important. Like, he would come and he would like spend like Saturday or something at my house, but you know, they would have all Friday night when he picked her up, and then all day Sunday, you know, and they would just do their daddy-daughter thing. So, you know, I still feel like it was, you know, just perfect the way we tried to incorporate each other into each other's lives and things. And so it was nice. It didn't last, but it was nice. So I really think the biggest thing with he and I was that I've never really, I guess maybe like once or twice, but I've never really felt like when I was starting to date somebody that we had to have like the relationship talk. And so I really feel like nowadays guys actually hide behind that. I've seen so many posts and they're just so true about how nowadays men will make you feel like you're in a relationship, but then, you know, as soon as it's convenient for them, like they've met somebody else or they want to go on with their life, you know, for whatever other reason, it's like, oh, well, we weren't in a relationship. I hope you didn't think that. Like, we didn't have the talk. Like, you know, we didn't discuss, you know, what we were. I mean, I think it's all just really a scam for them. This guy in particular, we started having problems about 4 months or so in. But I mean, just from him like calling me his girlfriend with one of his friends on the phone one night, and the routine that we had, the fact that he let me meet his daughter, and you know, like we were just so good together. Like we were just, I mean, like he was such an affectionate person, and we liked the same movies. We had like a routine of like the shows that we watched. Like we were, I mean, there's no other like way to explain what we were. I mean, like we definitely weren't just friends. So like I said, I really feel like we've just created a culture of allowing men to like get us to believe a fantasy, I guess, or get us to believe whatever it is that we want to believe at the time, because I don't really feel like, I mean, I guess to a certain extent, like a talk is granted, you know, like, yeah, you should have some type of talk about, you know, what you both expect and but what you both want and things like that. But I also feel like it's really shady of men to, you know, give the illusion of relationships and, you know, what they want, because men are so quick to be like, I don't want a relationship. I just want, you know, to have some friends. I just want to be able to chill and hang out and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you can't call me every day. You can't come over to my house. You can't take me on dates. You can't, you know, come and eat my food. You can't come and spend weekends with me and spend birthdays and do trips and, you know, let each other meet family members and things like that, and then say that we were just friends. Like, I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense. In this type of situation, I really feel like social media, particularly Instahoes, played a big role in why he and I didn't work out. Like, I really feel like he just wanted to hold out for something better, like, or, you know, the illusion of what he felt like was maybe better. You know, I don't know how deep his relationships with other women were or anything. I mean, he always said he wasn't sleeping with anybody else, and he would legit tell me, I think, you know, if he was, because he just didn't hold back on other things. So I really feel like he would tell me if he was sleeping with other people or, you know, whatever. And we had that discussion of like, well, you know, we're gonna be exclusive in this extent and blah, blah, blah. But as months went on and, you know, he's calling me his girlfriend and things like that, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, did we still have to have the talk? But I mean, in his mind, I don't think we had to have the talk. I feel like he just wanted to, like most men, you know, have the option of being able to say, you know, well, I never told you, you know, we were in a relationship or whatever. So, I mean, it's really just a sick thing. It really is. So for a while, I was blaming myself like, okay, well, maybe I did let myself get too far. But then when I asked him what happened to the top of his car, he said that a girl had hit like, and it was like really kind of disguised, so like I can understand, I guess, a little bit why you didn't get it fixed, but it wasn't like an obvious thing, but like it was a pretty significant dent, you know, but it was just kind of in a place that was, you know, kind of hidden. So I asked him, you know, well, what happened? So his response was that some girl in Vegas took a wrench to I think it was the trunk of his car, because his explanation was she thought we were in a relationship, and I guess she had like seen him with someone else or found out that he was seeing someone else, so she took a wrench to his car. So once he told me that, I really felt like, okay, well, this is not my problem, it's his, because that doesn't make any sense that, you know, a woman would get, I mean, I know women are crazy, but, you know, it kind of made it seem like he had a pattern of this behavior, and I feel like all men do. And so I really feel like them hiding behind we didn't have the relationship talk, you know, is just a cop-out. That's all it is. I don't think that it's genuine at all, and I do not think it's valid. Like, you have no right to make a woman feel safe and comfortable with you and feel like, you know, this is going somewhere and it's not. And the whole time in your head, you may know it's not. Or at some point you develop feelings, you know, where you feel like, you know, maybe you want to go and be with someone else, or maybe you just don't want to be tied down, or, you know, whatever, maybe you just don't like the person anymore. But I feel like it's definitely your responsibility to be straightforward about that. I really think that men will take and take and take and get, you know, as long as you're gonna let them. And it's so sad. And I can't say what women do. I don't personally hang around with women that are menizers. I don't know, what do you call a menizer? A thought, or I don't know. I'm not cool, so I don't know. Whatever, a menizer is gonna be my word for the day. So I don't personally hang out with any women like that, so I don't know what women put men through. But all I can say is from my perspective of being a woman, how I feel like men have, you know, put me through unjust, you know, turmoil and strife and sadness, and, you know, just breaking my heart in 1,000 pieces for really no reason. Because I am like so just like easygoing if you do like simple things like honesty, be straightforward, talk to me, communicate, like let me see what your point of view is and give me time to process that, and also give me time to make a decision on how I feel about what you just told me. You know, like a guy that's like, oh, well, I just want to be friends. Okay, well, let me process that and let me think about if I still want to be your friend and what that's going to mean. Like, our friendship is going to be, you know, yeah, sometimes you come over and we watch a movie and you go back to your house. Or, you know, we go get a bite to eat and go our separate ways, you know? Or we're going to be friends that do things that are more than friendly. Or not, you know, like give us the opportunity to be able to process and, you know, make our decision, because then it's back on us, you know. So we can't sit up and be like, you hurt me, you told me, you know, all the verbal diarrhea. You know, if you give us the opportunity to process and make a decision based on whatever, you know, ultimatum or whatever, you know, statements that you've made about where you want this to go. So the other component, of course, was his daughter. And like I said, her and I had gotten so close, and it was the first time I had really gotten close to someone that had kids, well, their kid, that and I don't know, I mean, I really think that it messed me up for the future. I mean, like, I don't want to meet anybody else's kids unless we are hands down defining the relationship. We have DTR'd, because I can't let myself feel the way I did before. I love kids. I'm a lover of kids. I work with kids and, you know, adults and the field that I'm in, and I've just always had a heart for children, and they've always had a heart for me. I've rarely met a child that didn't like me. Now, a child that does not like me, there's something wrong with them. I'm sorry. Most kids dig me. So, you know, me and her having such a close bond, like, it was heartbreaking to not be able to see her anymore because, no, okay, he did let me see her a few times because he knew that she loved me just as much as I loved her. So he was, you know, gracious enough to let us see each other, and she like came over and spent time with me even by herself, because that's really how close we were, and he knew that I'd never do anything to hurt her. So it was just so sad because, you know, what were we gonna do? Like, I mean, me and her couldn't call each other and like FaceTime and, you know, all that. Like, we were really reliant on, you know, him. But, you know, at the same time, like, once he started and once I found out, because this really did drag on for a really long time, I'm not just gonna spare all of the details of the 3 years, because the main idea of this relationship was the fact of like him this whole time making it seem like he wanted something that he didn't. And I mean, even like when we would get together and then break up again and then get together and break up again, it was like every time it was like we would come together and it was like nothing ever happened. Like, we'd fall right back into our routine, and it was just so crazy. But, you know, by the time he had started introducing her to other people, like when he would start dating people in between and stuff, you know, really changed my mindset. And I really felt like, you know, as the adult, you know, I'm not going to keep going in and out of this child's life knowing that her dad and I are never going to be like what she saw us be before, you know, being loving and affectionate and, you know, like hopefully a good role model to her about like what a relationship was like. So once that started happening, you know, it was just kind of like, I'm not going to put this child through that. And I'm not even going to ask to see her, ask to talk to her, no matter how much it hurt my heart not to. He and I decided that, and I'm going to call him Christian for the sake of giving everybody a nickname. I really couldn't think of a good name for him, but Christian is kind of along the lines. But anyway, so Christian works for a couple different ways. So we're gonna call him Christian. So Christian and I, you know, had one final talk months ago. So he and I really come up to like as recent as 2018. So yeah, so we met in 2015. So it was recent as 2018, you know, like of us just kind of like going back and forth, because I really do feel like we genuinely, you know, loved each other and genuinely cared about each other. But, you know, for whatever reason, I really feel like he just thought I wasn't the one. But because he did care about me, you know, it did make him want to talk to me, want to be near me, want to hang out with me, want to still be involved and be in my life. And so, I mean, it came to a head, of course, because, you know, we can't keep doing this. Like, I'm not going to keep putting myself through this. Every time, you know, I feel like we're getting closer, and every time I feel like we're making progress, you know, you just let me know that it's not what I'm thinking. And so that was just, it was really hard. I mean, really very hard to let go of, obviously. I think him and Bear are like my most embarrassing relationships, because I really had a hard time letting go of the both of them. But I mean, they did as well. I mean, obviously, you know, it's not just all me, but they did as well. And so for my birthday, we were going to go to Orlando, because I've actually never been to Universal yet. I've been here, I've been in Florida for like 11 years. I don't know. I've been in Florida for a while. No. Oh yeah, about 11 years. So, we were gonna go to Orlando, and he backed out at the last minute, and I was just like, you know, this is not cool. Like, I thought we had this trip planned, and it was something that we both mutually wanted, like maybe us going out and like doing this, having something, together again, like maybe we could, just finally just like get it together. It's like, it's been 3 years, you're older, I'm older, we've both been through so much, we've both not found, anybody better, but it just kind of like the last straw. And we just had a talk, and it's like, look, I care about you, but don't ever call me again, pretty much. And it wasn't, in a jerk way. It was just like, let me go. I will find the strength to let you go, so you let me go too. I saw a post on Instagram the other day, and I think I might have saw it more than once, but it was something along the lines of, in 2018 or 2019, I don't know whichever one they put, but that we should stop messing with each other's soulmates, and that is just so true. We need to be honest in relationships. We need to, be straightforward. We need to lay our cards on the table. But it's so hard because for women, we lay our cards on the table and we tell men what we want, and it's so sad, and it's like almost making me feel emotional because I feel like it's so true. But women will lay our cards on the table and tell you guys what we want, and then you guys will in turn use it against us. And so it's so sad because it's like it leaves us like, what do we do? Like, what do I do? Like, okay, like men will say, well, wait for a guy to tell you what they want in a relationship. Okay, so we should just wait around and let a guy, date us for X amount of, time and not let us know what they want, and then we're not telling them what we want either, so then we still get nowhere. Like, I can see where someone would say, like, a man that really wants you and really cares about you will, tell you, or, will go out of his way to show you or whatever. But it's like, it's still, like, it doesn't matter. Like, nice guys break hearts too, because people's hearts and feelings and their situations change so frequently nowadays. It's like nobody really has like those core values for dating and courting and getting married and all those things now. And that's really what the root of it is that there's so few men that are where they need to be in their relationship with God in order to be a good spouse or, boyfriend or whatever, and that's what's so sad about everything, is that I really feel like you, and this is general, but like a man cannot have a heart for me if they don't have a heart for God. Like, I just feel like that's what I've learned. And so coming to like one of my last, relationships, like I said, this is pretty much just like second to last, like, relationship that I was in. So yeah, like I'm coming up to my final, relationships through this whole journey, like I said, of, just me finding myself, even though I was young and I was a Christian. I do consider myself to be a Christian. My struggle, because some people have addictions and things like that, like my struggle has always been relationships. And so what God's tugged on my heart about and dealt with me about, is relationships and the men that I've chosen to allow myself to be with. And, I'm going to say who I've allowed myself to be with, because I don't feel like I've ever been with a person that God wanted me to be with, like ever. And that's a problem. And that's something that, these last few relationships and, everybody as a whole has taught me. The common denominator is I've never dated a man that loved God. And I feel like because I've never dated a guy that loved God and, was chasing after his heart, they couldn't love me. the way I needed them to. And they couldn't have the patience, and they couldn't be accepting of me, you know? And I'm gonna do like a video about like verbal abuse and stuff, because I really feel like I've had like a couple guy relationships that are like, you know, situations, not like anything extreme, but you know, a couple situations where like men were not nice to me and like said like crazy things, like just like off the wall, like, you know. And I think a lot of it stemmed from them just not wanting to accept that I was a good person. Like, I really feel like that actually upset them sometimes. Like, why are you so nice? Like, why can't you just like stand up for yourself? And why can't you this or why can't you that? And it's like, why wouldn't you want me to be nice? Like, I did a post on Instagram a couple weeks ago about, you know, like, let me be nice. Like, why do you want me to come out of my character? Why do you want me to be in your face screaming and yelling and causing you stress? Like, don't you want a woman that's gonna be your peace at the end of the day? So, I mean, it's just really just hard. And I don't know. I really just am kind of at a loss a little bit for what the solution is for all of us. Though I may not have the answer to all of my problems, I feel like, you know, definitely in the future, I am, and I do stand up for myself, by the way. I'm from New York, and I just really have learned to pick my battles. I meant to say that while I was talking about that. Like, it's not that, but I just think that people have the impression that I'm a pushover because I'm not dramatic. I'm not, you know, hooping and hollering in your face, and I'm not, you know, being all ratchet and, you know, keying your car and, you know, setting stuff on fire and, you know, like, I'm not doing all that extra stuff. So I don't know. I think some men like that. I think some men want that. I think some men want to constantly be chasing. And it's like, I don't think that that's anywhere near what God intends for us to be in relationship for, is to constantly be in some chase. Like, no, like, I want to be peaceful. I want to know that this is my man, and, you know, we're married and we're working towards goals, and, you know, we're going to strive for something better, and we're going to build a life for us and hopefully our kids one day. So it's like, I mean, I just really don't understand why men just don't want that same thing. Like, why don't you want a woman to be your peace? Like, why do you want, like, that's something inside you that's wrong. Like I said, for the future, I definitely plan to take my time in relationships. Like, I really want to get to know someone and how they do business, what their goals are, you know, what you want from me. And I'm going to tell you what I want from you. And if that doesn't line up, that is okay. Like, let's move on. And like I said from that post, let's not keep messing with people's soulmates. Like, if you know that you don't want to marry me one day, like, if we're dating and you feel like, you know, she's cool for right now, but I don't want to marry her, like, leave me alone. Like, don't even come my way. Don't slide in my DM. Don't, you know, friend request me. Don't follow me. Don't, just walk away. Just walk away. I need somebody that's equally yoked with me. Like, I need somebody that loves God. You're not, you know, I don't go to church every single Sunday, but I do go to church. I actually go to 2 different churches, and I watch church on TV very regularly too. Like, you know, during the week, like almost every day, like I'm watching a sermon. I really like Charles Stanley. I'm kind of getting into Andy Stanley. I watch Joyce Meyer sometimes. I've kind of gotten away from Joel. But, you know, I really try to keep my mind right, and just doing that and starting my day off with prayer and with just listening to, you know, the word from a preacher, that really helps me. There's so much on YouTube. There's so much, you know, on demand and things like that, that there's kind of no excuse for you to, you know, stay saturated in that. And the days that I don't do it, my days are usually, you know, bad in some way. And I'm not gonna say that like every single time, but like I can really attribute my bad days to how I started off my day. And So yeah, like I need a good godly man that's going to be supportive of that. Like I need a man that's going to say, you know, I'm going to pray for you about that. Or, you know, I prayed about that for you. Like that is just like, like, oh my God, like that's just like the biggest turn on ever. And I know that probably sounds bad, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that is just like touching to your heart when someone can say and you can believe that they prayed about you and, you know, are praying for you and, you know, they're praying to have you and to be with you. And so like that's the man that I want to find, is like the man that was praying to be with me and to find me. And I really feel like God's gonna show me that. Like I really feel like in every relationship I've been in, I've prayed for signs and I've gotten them. And they've always been negative ones. And so, you know, whether I listened right away or I listened later on and, you know, was hard-headed and learned a lesson, it is what it is. Usually the latter. Like I didn't listen right away, even though the things are right in front of me. But like the last like year or so, I feel like I've been somewhat getting it right. Like I've been, you know, praying for signs, and I've been, you know, also praying for the strength to walk away from, you know, things that look good but aren't. So in closing, I just really feel like the key is to keep God in everything that you do. It's really hard to stay faithful, especially if you're single and you're praying for a spouse. It's really hard to stay faithful about God's promises of not withholding any good thing from you. And, you know, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing, and, you know, that he wants you to have an abundant life, and all the stories about Rachel and Sarah and, you know, their wombs being closed. And so, you know, as far as men and women that want kids, and, you know, these women in the Bible that, you know, were praying for kids, and then God, you know, finally answered their prayers about that. So, I mean, those are just kind of some things to just kind of keep in mind. And it's so very hard, and I'm preaching to the choir, I'm sure, and I'm preaching to myself, because I go through it on a very regular basis of just feeling like, you know, I'm never gonna find the right person. Like, I'm just gonna hook myself up. I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna just, you know, find somebody on my own. And, you know, I'm just gonna settle a little bit. And one thing I just cannot settle for anymore is not finding a godly husband. Like, there's no way that I personally feel like I'm going to be happy if I can't go to my husband and ask him to pray for me. And if I know that I don't have a husband that's going to be a godly father, like those are just kind of deal breakers at this point. I'm getting older, and, you know, yeah, it is kind of tempting to settle for somebody that believes in God, because everybody I dated believed in God. I've never dated someone that didn't. However, the extent of, you know, their relationship with God was really evident. And you have to think about too, like for the future, and I know I'm running really, really long, but for the future, you know, how God is going to bless and use you guys. If you're not dating a godly man, he's just going to hold you back. And, you know, for those of you that don't think so, look at the divorce rate. So, I don't know, but those are just my thoughts. So I know this video ran really long, but thank you guys if you hung in there. I think there was just a lot of good points to make. And I mean, this is just really a conversation that I feel like needs to be had, and it could probably go on for hours, and, you know, we could debate about this. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions, or, you know, any comments or anything about this video, please leave them below. I definitely love to hear what other people are thinking, and, you know, what your perspectives are, male and female, because I think that, you know, I know things go both ways, but I can only give you my perspective. You know, I wouldn't even want to be a boy. So I can only give you a female's perspective. I'm gonna have to find me a male co-host or something at some point, so that I can reach out to the guys and find out what they're thinking too. But Until then, you're stuck with me, but I appreciate you guys for watching. My subscribers have gone up and my views have gone up, and it's all because you guys are awesome and amazing for watching and putting up with just me. So thank you guys, and I'll have a new video next week for you guys. So please subscribe if you haven't, and give this video a thumbs up before you go.